Welcome to the second edition of Ask the Boss. We're very thrilled to have our assistant coach and club legend Benji Marshall here today as a special guest. Benji, welcome.
Thanks, mate. I'm excited to be here after watching Tim's one. You know, he said I've got a lot to live up to, so let's make it happen.
You know the process, so we go out to our fans and members and they submit questions. This time I think we've gone out through social media and we've got a list of questions, which I'll start with right now, with the first one being, why have the West Tigers, Benji, been so important to you?
Oh, I spent, I guess, most of my life here at the Tigers. Made my debut here, got to win a competition in 2005, played 12 solid years here, and you know I gave my blood, sweat, and tears. And when it gets reciprocated by the fans, you know, for me, there's no better feeling. And when you have success, to see all the fans that come through that and celebrate with you. And you know, without the fans, I wouldn't have been who I was, because to hear them appreciate the way I played, or you know, wear my number on the back of their jersey, I didn't really reflect on it until I retired. But without that support, then who are you really? You know, so I think the fans have played a big part in how much I love the club. But I've always had a real loyal mentality. You know, I've been and gone from the club a couple of times, but one thing always remained, and that was my love for the club. And I was quite vocal about that publicly, you know, and to be back here now, obviously as assistant coach and then head coach in 25, it's a dream come true, mate, for me. And to be able to work with kids who are in a position where I was 20 years ago, yeah, it's even more special to hopefully try and guide those guys through what I went through.
Nice. You talk about fans, and as a player, I mean, this is going to obviously sound like a fairly stupid question with a simple answer, but not everyone would actually understand the impact being the fans on a player, and how a full Leichhardt or a full Campbelltown can actually influence a player's performance, and also the way they react to the energy that's being created through the fan base. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, one of the best feelings in the world, and I made my debut at Campbelltown. It was pretty full that day, and I've played a lot of games at Leichhardt, a full stadium as well, but there's no better feeling than playing at home with your fans there cheering you on and supporting you, you know. And again, I'll reiterate it, without the fans there's no game and there's no us. So I appreciate the West Tigers fans, and I understand how passionate we are as fans, and we all want success and results and all that, and hopefully you know, with a few new changes and what we want to achieve this year, we can make a few changes and get to where we want to go.
Yeah, we always talk about, you know, there's over 400,000 identified fans. We're one of the largest supported clubs in the NRL, certainly in Sydney, but also in the NRL. And all of our decisions we always make are always in the best interest of the club, and always in the best interest of the fans to be really proud to be a part of the club.
Mate, I can honestly say, like, with our fans, I've been through the real highs and lows of the club. You know, there was 05 we had success. There were other years where we were less successful. We didn't make the semi-finals, and when we do have that success and everyone jumps on board and is a part of it, there's no better feeling. And they come from everywhere, and I get it. You know, we all want to be a part of a winning side. You know, we need to make some improvements, there's no doubt. And we're working hard at pre-season training to make that happen. We've got a really keen group of guys who are fresh and hungry, and I guess our job is to bring out the best in them, that when they put on the West Tigers jumper, and this is one thing that I want everyone to understand at our club, when you're wearing the West Tigers jumper, you're representing a lot of people. You're playing for the guy next to you, and all anyone wants to see is their players play with passion, at pride, and put in their best performance week in, week out. Sometimes you lose, but we don't want to get beat. Yeah, that's what's going to be important this year.
You're playing for the fans, you're playing for yourself, you're playing for your teammates, but you're playing for people that have been associated with the two foundation clubs back to 1908. And as I said in an induction we had on Monday, everyone should be proud and privileged to be a part of this great organisation. And never take it for granted.
Mate, and I am. I'm so proud to be a part of it.
I wasn't saying you, mate.
Yeah, thanks anyway, but I am,
What was your favourite career moment and your favourite try?
Well, that's a hard one. I mean, I've always been some of my favourite moments involve other people, watching them debut, or my brother made his debut here. That was pretty special for me. But look, if I'm about me, winning in 05, the grand final for me doesn't get better than that. We celebrated for a long time after that. That's why we lost in 06.
Scando still is.
Yeah, he's still celebrating. But yeah, that moment as a team doesn't get better, and we have a really good connection. The 05 guys, we have a WhatsApp group where we still connect, and you're brothers for life after that because you share something so special together, you know. And my favourite try, I'll set up a few, but now my favourite try would probably be against Parramatta in the same game that Taniela hurt his ankle. Blake Ashford scored in the corner, and I think I threw a flick pass. I didn't mean to, it just happened, but it's probably the hardest way to do it, behind your back, facing that way, passing that way, and he scored in the corner, and freaked myself out a little bit there, but that's probably my favourite one.
Just touching on 2005, like I listened to Scando, yourself, even Robbie talk about like the camaraderie ship that was around the group at the time.
Is that a word?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Camaraderie ship a word?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Was and we try and look for that intangible that existed back then. And even Scando was saying, like, without prompting, you guys would catch up on a Monday night after captain's run. You'd catch up for a lunch, and it was not mandatory, but you'd all do it. No. How important is that?
Yeah, very important. And one of my biggest things I've always been in teams is it's about the people. And if you have good people and you have good leaders who genuinely care about each other, I guess that's the thing. You have to find ways to get the team to bond together. It's harder now because back then we could just go to the pub and have beers and it wasn't a drama. Yeah. But now it's gone to professional level where you got to find other ways to do that. So I guess that's our challenge as coaches, is to get that bond between the side. But if you find good people and you have good people around the organisation, which we do, that happens more organically. So we'll be pushing culture a lot this year and having some good people around.
So we're 2.5 weeks into pre-season. How have you found it as assistant coach for the first time? Big difference, I would assume, from playing to coaching and the preparation that goes with?
No, I've really enjoyed it. I guess the biggest thing is, you have an impact on planning, a lot of video stuff, going through progressions of teaching these young guys skills that they haven't seen before. But for me, it's purpose. And I come to training every morning with a real clear purpose, and it's something, once you retire, you miss a bit. Yep. But having this purpose back here at this club, it's something I don't take for granted, and I wake up every morning genuinely wanting to get to training. So that's the first part. The second part is, I had a really good work ethic when I played, and I looked at a lot of video stuff. So cutting video now and that stuff's no different to when I played. And I think those are lessons we can teach the players now around making sure they look at their own games or who they're playing against, and bring those things. But like I said, I just want to be a good person. Hopefully that rubs off on the boys, and create an environment where it's fun.
Your fitness levels, I've looked out my window sometimes and seen you on the wrestle mat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I enjoy getting in there. The one thing that never leaves when you've played first grade at a high level, and is competitiveness. Yeah. And I hate losing, So I jump in there and just have a crack with the boys and show them how to train. Or sometimes you can't explain a drill out on the field, but I can definitely get out and show them, So I like getting my hands on the ball, and sometimes showing the young fellas, the old fellas still got it.
Nice. The new facility, your thoughts firstly? We obviously will talk about, we had the launch last Friday.
Great launch, by the way,
Yeah, it was awesome.
Mate, the facility for me is, we are so lucky. As a club and an organisation, to have such a facility for me that has everything in the one place, world class, no stones being left unturned in planning around what we've got for the players. Now, my biggest thing for the players is there's no excuse not to perform. We've got the best facilities. It's how you use them. And having good facilities doesn't make you play better, but it makes things a lot easier around planning, and we can have all the guys in the gym at once. That helps as coaches. But yeah, if the energy and the guys are not invested in training hard, the facilities don't matter. So that's up to us to get that out of them, and we'll be working hard at that. But the facilities definitely make it a lot easier.
I think I was saying before that in the off season, for the first time ever in my time here, I've seen more players than ever coming in and working out and training and doing rehab, and I'm sure that they were doing it, but they were doing it at other facilities in the off season previously. But to have them all coming in here, number one, and then number two, without prompting or inviting, players actually bringing their partners, their parents, their kids, their siblings in and showing them really proudly through the facility was something that really stuck with me.
Well, one thing that, back in the days when I was playing here, it was the club was always about being a family club, and to see players embracing that and be able to bring their family in, it's important, and without being prompted to come in and train and do extras, really happy with that. As a coach, that's what we want to see from your players.
Yep. And from staff as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I see staff coming in, even using the gym, using the facilities, but walking in really proud to be a part of what this organisation's building towards.
Yeah. Oh, we have to be proud, and what we need to do is turn that training here in a great facility into results on the field.
Absolutely. Talking about the facility, obviously we had the launch last Friday night, a black tie cocktail event, the official launch, which has been some time coming. But what do you think of the launch?
Yeah, mate, really enjoyed it. I guess it just made things official that we're in here now, and to see the West Tigers sign go up out the front and have everyone here, it was a really special moment for us. And like I said, we're lucky to have this place. Now we just have to use it the right way.
And of course, we announced on Friday night a naming rights partner for 5 years for this facility. So to have a blue ribbon organisation like Zurich come on board, I think is a real credit to not only everyone here, but also it actually really supports where we think the club's heading to have someone like that jump on board.
Yeah, it's nice. And once you get into the coaching part of your career, you understand how important sponsors are to an organisation, and you're right, we're lucky to have them.
Turning back to football, you debuted at 18. What's the one piece of advice you would provide to players of a similar age coming through our club right now?
Oh, it's easy for me. Talent gets you so far. If you can add a great attitude and hard-working attitude to that talent and maintain that throughout your career, you'd be amazed at what you can achieve. And I'm also a big believer in it doesn't matter to me how good you are as a player, but being a good person is just as important. So if you can do all those things from when you're 18 and play over 10 years in your career, then you've had a successful career.
Do you think touch football is a new pathway to NRL?
Oh, I think there's definitely merits in touch footy, especially skill-wise, and the way the game's going, playing flatter and faster and speed of the ruck, and just the skills you can get from touch footy. The contact part is another part of it, but I think for a foundation of skills, touch footy is a good way to start.
You spoke about purpose before. I know when we started speaking about the possibility of you rejoining the club in a coaching capacity, purpose was a big part of that conversation. So when I'm answering this question, I think I know the answer, but I'll ask it anyway because the fan's written in. What's inspired your move to become a head coach?
Oh, a couple of things. Purpose is probably the biggest thing, but also to have the ability. I did a bit of development coaching before with kids where you teach them a few things and they go and put it into practice on the field, and they come back and say, hey, man, thanks for showing me that. It's helped my game improve. And the feeling you get from teaching them that and seeing them use it and better themselves, it's you can't beat it, and for me to be able to come back and have this opportunity to not only be assistant coach and learn under Tim, but take over as head coach in a couple of years, it's a dream come true for me, and it's an opportunity that not everyone gets. So I'm just going to make the most of it and put my best foot forward and work hard.
There's only 17 NRL coaches in the world, Benji.
That's right. That's true.
Did you feel that as you came to the end of your career playing that you started taking on more of a mentor coaching role, even though not anointed as one?
Yeah, I did that naturally because I found that part of it kept me going, and it's funny because I'd try and challenge the young guys to do things when that actually helped me challenge myself, and I knew me pairing up with younger guys make me do extra training, and make me, if I'm preaching to these guys to do something, I need to be doing that. So me being a mentor or helping out guys was actually helping me at the same time, so it did give me the passion to want to coach though, I'll be honest. But one of the things about playing is if you're playing and you're not fully invested in your performance and playing first, that has to be your priority. And we got guys here that, we want them to be leaders, but if you're not leading by your performance and your actions first, then you can't lead. So that's important for me. And although I was doing coaching and mentoring, I always had pride in my performance first.
Do you think it'll be a challenge for you more than potentially other coaches, given that it's well documented that you could do pretty much anything on the field? With your frustration of maybe what others aren't doing?
No, I don't have frustration. The thing that everyone assumes about me is that the things I did on the field were made up. No one prepared more than me. I practiced everything I did. I'd do video on the opposition. If the opposition left edge were jammers, I'd go and watch and see what timing they jam at and then find plays to beat them. I didn't just make up what I did. I worked hard at that. And a lot of that has a process, which you got to have a process. And through the process, you have to have the ability to play what you see as well. And I was lucky enough that I could do that. So the frustration part around players not being able to do things doesn't bother me because they're going to have a process to doing things. And within that process, though, you have to play the way you play. And I was lucky enough that I played under Tim because he encouraged me to play the way I played. And we'll be no different with these guys.
Is it true that Tim wouldn't allow you to do anything on the field that you hadn't practiced?
That was his number one rule.
Yep.
Yeah, so if he saw you do it at training, you could go and do it on the field. And that's why guys like Todd Payton would do ball playing. Sometimes they'd do chip and chases. And if you do it at training, you can do it on the field, but it has to be practice.
How will you get all your players to buy in, or the players here to buy in from day one into your vision and Tim's vision?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing is, I think, first of all, it's not my vision and it's not Tim's vision. It's the club's vision and it's the players' vision. So when you're in part of a team, if the players don't have buy-in to where you want to get to as a club, then it's just a message coming from the coaches. But if the players are involved in setting what it looks like this season and it's come from them, well, then they're accountable to their vision. It's not just driven from the coaches. All the times I had success, the players were really big in driving culture, driving standards, and driving performance. And if it's just coming from the coach, well, it's not as effective.
And club first.
Absolutely. Yeah. Team first actions are impeccable these days. And if you don't have them, you probably lose more games than not.
So I know you're going to be very excited by this and obviously aware of it, but we're taking a home game this year as a consequence to the FIFA World Cup Women's interrupting our home ground scheduling. So as a club, we sat down and thought, well, we've got to be fairly innovative with this problem that's been provided to us. So we thought, what better way than to actually give back to the Warriors and all the people of New Zealand that have given up for over 1,000 days not having rugby league on their home soil. So obviously we're really proud of that initiative, taking a game back there against the Warriors at Hamilton. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, really proud of the club, first of all. I mean, not just because I'm from New Zealand, but because I think it's the right thing to do. And I've talked a lot about being good people and having good values, and one of those values for us is we are giving back, to the Warriors and to the fans of New Zealand. And I know sometimes from a business perspective, people will say, well, why wouldn't you just play a game at home? But it's the right thing to do. It is, and I genuinely believe that. So for me, I'm all for it. And I just believe that, it doesn't matter where you play or whatever it is. If your performance is good enough on the day, you win anyway.
Yeah. Same size field, same 17 players. Jordan Thompson came in, I think, last week.
Yeah, I met him. Good guy. Wonderful
young man. Obviously ranked 86, I think, in the world in tennis. So and has beaten Rafael Nadal before. He's got a question for you.
Hey, Justin and Benji. I would love to know, Benji, what sport would you play if it wasn't rugby league?
Oh, that's easy for me. I'm a tragic for golf.
Sorry, if you could play any other sport well.
Yeah, well, that's the funniest thing I think you've ever said. Yeah, I love golf, Like, my life away from footy is golf. On the side of my house, I had like a little pitching and putting green put in where I spend quite a lot of time. But if I could do anything, I'd definitely want to play golf. 5 at the moment.
5? Yeah. Is that the lowest you've been?
No, I've been lower, but...
Do you think it's going to drift out now?
Yeah, absolutely. But I've got a few tournaments coming up, so I need to blow out a bit. Jokes.
If you were to play an American sport?
Basketball, probably. Yeah. I have played a bit of basketball growing up, but I'm like an assister where I'm not very good at shooting, but I set other people up. Yeah. It's like footy.
Like footy.
Yeah.
What have you learned so far under Tim?
Yeah, a lot of things. One of the things that I've found with Tim really great is how positive he is around the guys in terms of backing their skill and their ability, and whatever you learn at training, go and put it in the game, but giving them the confidence that it's not about you can't do this, you can't do that. You can do this, you can do that. Go out and do that, and just his positivity around the guys has been quite infectious, but also how inventive he is around the game. You're always trying to come up with ways to change the game, plays that no one else is doing, how to break down defences. Learning a lot on the go, mate. It's definitely been an eye-opener for me, but really loving it.
So we've had, you sit on the list management committee now. Yep. Last week we made some decisions around our roster. Mm-hmm. And I will say that, we don't apologise for the decisions we're making, because we're absolutely making the decisions with the sole interest of the football club with every decision we make, and it's aimed at giving us best opportunity to improve whatever already is a really talented roster, because we can't accept where we finished last year. Yeah. Jackson Hastings going, obviously, a lot of fans were wondering the reasons behind that, and I know we're not here to talk about the detail around why we do things, but I personally think, and comment if you will, that we made a decision in the best interest of the club. And again, as I said, we're not going to apologise for that. And obviously, David Clemmer coming in is an enormous add-on to what I think will only be a better pack, with obviously Isaiah Papalia joining us and Appy joining us. He's obviously played for Australia, played State of Origin, has experience, and we've got quite a young squad, as you know. So what will he bring to this squad?
Yeah, really excited about that. Obviously, Jackson had a good season here last year, and a lot of fans probably grew towards him. But the decision that's been made, I think it goes both ways as well. Jackson wanted to probably play 7 a bit more, and the opportunity to play 7 was there. Good luck to him up there. But we are getting a world class front rower who's a specialist front rower, and I think is going to be important for us and our growth in the future. But you're right, decisions are made and what's best for the club, and that's been made.
And we, I will say, because we've had probably 4 or 5 meetings now, and we do prosecute every decision to the nth degree. We have healthy, robust discussions, to say the least. But it's, mate, they're respectful, and they're done, as I said, in the sole best interests of the club, and we'll continue to do so. I think Tim and yourself, Benji, have really defined and clearly articulated a recruitment and retention plan, and we're aggressively pursuing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've made no secrets about the importance of our juniors and our pathways and development of the kids coming through and keeping those kids, and we're working really hard at what we've got coming through, and we want success now. There's no doubt. We're not going into next year saying we want to have an average year. We want to win, and we'll be saying that to the players. But also, you've got to think about the future too. But we've got a lot of kids coming through that are really talented, and we've managed to hold on to a lot of them, So as a club, I think, from our recruitment guys and as a club, it's a coup for us to be able to do that and have those guys. And that plan that we've made is coming into action now. And I can say, seeing some of the kids come into first grade and train their first pre-season, we've got a bright future coming through. It's exciting as a coach. And talking to Tim, he thinks some of those kids are better than myself, Robbie, Liam Fultons, Bryce Gibbs coming through at the same age. So from a club perspective, it's very exciting about our future.
And that comes back to, you spoke about the sponsorship and the members, ticket sales, all the commercial revenue streams and the support we get financially at this club, that we're not here to make money as a club. We're here to tip more money back into the football program to ensure that we're the most competitive we can be and develop pathway and talent. Yep. We've got a huge geographical area.
Just have to use it right.
Absolutely. We're in this new studio here doing this Ask the Boss, segment number 2. Mm-hmm. Part of that is that we're actually going to we are developing our own podcast.
Are we?
Yes, we are. Do you have a name that you would think that we should call the podcast?
Well, I know if Robbie Farrow was sitting here, he would call it the Robbie Farrow Podcast.
Yeah.
But no.
What would Scando call it?
Moo cow. So we used to call Scando the pillow when he played, because he was always stuck out on the ground at marker, and they used to get up and leave us with one marker. But I'm not very good at names, Justin, but I reckon our fans could come up with something, surely.
So what you're suggesting is that we throw to our fans and ask them to actually sit there.
Let them name it.
let them name it.
Why not?
And then maybe we could give them a prize that the winning entry can actually come in and watch the first podcast live in the studio.
Why not? One thing I will say, Justin, is, from a fan's perspective, just really stick with us, guys. It's been a tough, 10 or so years from a club point of view. We are doing everything we can at training from a team perspective to make sure we change that. But good things are coming for us. We're working hard at it, and just stick with us, please.
And I think, great message, by the way, but I think the most important part of that message is actually everyone's working their ass off and working really hard to make change. And we want to make this a successful and sustainable club.
Absolutely.
Our core product and our core focus is winning football games in NRL and NRLW.
I agree.
Head to the caption in the video, submit your answers, and the winner will be announced in the next 3 weeks. Benji, thanks very much for coming on.
Thanks
I know
for
you're
having
busy.
me, mate.
It is appreciated, and to hear your insights not only into what you thought as you were a player, how you prepared, how important process and preparation was, but what you're doing for this club, what you've done for this club over 19, 20 years, and what you're going to do for this club over hopefully the next 20 years. I can't thank you enough.
If I'm here in 20 years, we're doing good.
Yeah. If I'm alive in 20, we're doing good.